Hey, boss. Hey, how are you today? It's your girl, Sean here, aka Sense. Always excited to share things you can do to work on your money, your marketing, and your sales goals too with strategy and intention. So I got some good for you, y'all. New week, new work, but kind of not new work because what we're going to do is an encore. Give us more of the live and lit back to business experience. So many of you have said to me that it was so great over at backtobusiness.me. The replays, by the way, of our virtual conference are now online and available over at backtobusiness.me. So many of you said you enjoyed the experience, you'll want more. So all this week, I've got some of my amazing speakers popping on here to share. Today, what we're going to do is to talk to you about how to work and travel, do what you need to do, be anywhere you want to be in the world. Okay, so we have two amazing participants, and hopefully you guys can hear me. I know sometimes when I have participants on, the audio gets a little bit wonky, but hopefully it adjusts itself. We've got some amazing ladies. I have Halona Black as well as Lisa Marie Goodson, and they are living their best lives, traveling the world. We're going to inspire you and direct you to. So without any further hesitation, again, hopefully the audio is okay today, or it gets okay. Let me grab these lovely ladies and bring them into the virtual building. Hello, welcome, welcome.
Darcy, thank
Hello.
you. Hi.
So the agenda this year for Back to Business is start now. By the way, y'all need to start now. Start tagging some business besties and sharing this out. Say, hey, hey, hey. We're about to talk about travel, living your best life. Sister girls who are working and doing what they need to do. This is an opportunity for us to talk about how you can start living the kind of life you want to live and building the kind of business you want to live, or rather, building the kind of business you want to have. So what I want to do first is to have Lisa Marie and Halona introduce themselves. Lisa Marie, do you want to start?
Sure. Hey. Okay. So first of all, we'll talk about working and living abroad. I'm literally doing that now. I'm in a place called the Art Center, which is in Accra, Ghana. And Accra, Ghana is where I currently live. I've been here for November 9th will make 8 months. And I came March 9th, so 8 months ago. I came for 2 weeks and I stayed. So pandemic came, borders closed down in 3 or 4 days after I got here, and there were opportunities for me to leave, but I did not do it. So I have an academy called Blackberry Beauty Academy, Ancient African Wisdom for the Modern Sister. I do a series of courses on anything from health, wellness, money, business, and living life really online and working online and being able to be free enough to go on vacation for 2 weeks and decide that you're never going to return back to the U.S. again. So I am a teacher, I am a mentor, and I am a friend to a lot of women around the world. So that's me. That's me. Simple.
It is, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to talk to you all internationally, to see Lisa Marie look at that melanin magic just dripping off of my sister, all up in Ghana, having a great time. Halona is
That's
actually
me.
going to be in Rwanda very soon. Halona, can you introduce yourself, let them know who you are and where you are right now?
Sure. I am a freelance writer as well as a coach and a teacher. I help people to be able to learn how to make a great living with their writing online. So I teach people how to be able to become freelance writers as well as learn how to be able to write books, ebooks, and all sorts of other things that they want to be able to write to be able to grow their business. I've been on the road for about 2.5 years in Southeast Asia. I started off in Thailand and moved around to Cambodia, um, um, Laos, Myanmar, And now I'm in Vietnam, and I'm about to leave tomorrow. I'm leaving. I'm going to Dubai for a few days, and then I'm going to be moving to Rwanda, and I think I'll be probably be there for a few months to be able to set up my business there. And it'll also be a nice place for me to be able to travel from while I'm living in Rwanda. So I'm really excited about this new chapter in my life, being able to go back to the continent of Africa. I've lived on the continent of Africa in my early 20s and have traveled back and forth over the years. But this will be nice to be able to go to a different part of the continent and experience a different part of the continent altogether.
So in the interest of making sure that we can maintain the audio as best as we can, whoever's speaking, I'm just going to mute the rest of us and kind of bounce back and forth. One of the things that I want to be able to do is to talk about motivation, right? Because sometimes we are just like, this is the time. The time is now for me to start something different. I would love for both of you to talk about what motivated you to leave from the States, start traveling internationally, and say, this is my new season. Halona, if you could start us off and share what motivated you, and then I'll have Lisa Marie check in as well.
You asked, did the audio cut out some? So you asked me what motivated me to start my journey overseas. Was that your question? Okay. What motivated me to go overseas? I've always really been interested in living permanently overseas. In my early 20s, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Togo in West Africa. Was there for 2 years, had a wonderful time. And, over the years, I was able to go back and forth to West Africa for work purposes. Um, and the United States just never really felt comfortable to me after that first time of living in Togo. That first time I came back from Peace Corps, it was shortly after 9/11. And like jobs were scarce, and you finally you do all this work to finally find a job, and you come outside, and you're outside doing your regular 9 to 5, and it's like cold outside in the middle of October, sitting in the cubicle all day long. I knew very quickly that was not the type of life that I wanted to live. But back then it was kind of, I needed to be able to figure out what that life would look like. I've had always loved writing, but didn't really believe that I could make a living out of my writing skills, because, everyone says, when people refer to writers, they always say, oh, they're always broke. So there was really no way for me at the time for me to be able to feel like I could make a full-time living out of my writing. And over some time, I was been able to build it slowly. And of course, the internet has gotten a lot more sophisticated since then. Because of the way the internet works, and just the way that my skills have evolved over the years, I've been able to take my writing skills and be able to make a full-time living out of it. So yeah, so that was what inspired me to get started.
Is it my turn? Okay, so what motivated me to move abroad or to live abroad? Well, you know what? First of all, it really was the idea that I was already online making money. So I was already location independent. And so just keeping, and I think that's important for me to say, because that really informs so many of your life dreams and then possibly your life decisions from those dreams. When you realize that, wow, like I don't have to live where I'm living, or I don't have to stay where I'm staying, or I don't have to do it for a long time. So for me, that's what it was. It was, I had recently gotten divorced. My daughter was in college. I was in North Carolina. She was in California. So, her father was there with her. I started traveling for a year. I started I can't even remember what I started, learning Spanish in Dominican Republic. At 50 some years old, I woke up one day and said, I want to learn another language. And somehow it was Spanish. Did 2 weeks, went back for 2 more months. I was going for 3. I was ready. I was already done. I was like, I'm going to live there. Like I packed all my everything I could think of, my Vitamix, everything that was important to me. Now I still have my apartment in North Carolina, but I liked it. Even though I didn't last the 3 months, it wasn't my fault, but I loved it. I was big. I was good. I knew I could live abroad if I could live in a country where I did not speak the language. That Spanish was in that case my second language, if you will. I knew I could live anywhere. That was so that part of how do you move to a country where you don't even speak the language. Some people might worry about that. I was good. And I still didn't speak the language well, but I knew I could. So I came back, and it didn't end. And from there, I went to Trinidad and then from there, I went to Colombia, and from Colombia, I went to another place called Sapelo Island, and my so-called last trip, well, wasn't last. I was going to Ghana, and then I was going to Morocco. I mean, this was going to be a lifestyle, but in my mind, looking for the perfect place to live, because at that point I thought DR probably wasn't. And next thing you know, I literally got here, and 2 weeks, a week, or 5 days later, they closed the border. But I was already clear. Something called me in a way that I can't even explain when I got to Ghana and said, stay. So I literally, when I say left everything, my tea kettle was still on the stove. My pictures of my family was still on the wall. My car was literally parked in front of the house, the two-bedroom, two-bath townhouse I was renting. All of my stuff that I picked up during travel, all of it was still on the walls. So to be the motivation to stay or the motivation to not return must have been really fierce. It was for me, it was more of this is right, and this is right now. So it was, and someone say a no-brainer, like, how did you do that? Did you really just leave everything not knowing? I left, thought I was going to come back. I had 2 weeks of clothing. Just to let you know, everything I have now in Ghana over the last 8 months, I purchased. So I don't have a picture of anybody. I don't have a momentum from my life of 50 something years in the States. I don't have anything but the new things that are happening in my life. So if you think you can't do it, if you're overthinking it, you don't. I just want to be a person that's in your life, or at least in your view, that can say, hey, you can do it. You could do it, and you can do it better and differently than me, but you could do it. So motivation was time presented itself, and I was ready for it. That's what did it.
I love the messages that you all are sharing because the Back to Business agenda this year, again, if you missed Back to Business, we're doing a recap all week with our speakers. Register for the virtual conference, get the replays, backtobusiness.me. I'll put the link in the URL for you real quick. The agenda this year is start now. Both Halona and Lisa Marie were ready to start their next season. For those of you watching live or via the replay, what is your next season? What are you ready to start now? And what are you ready to leave behind? Halona, when we were together, you talked about a few things. You said LaShonda was 40. What was going on in your life at the time that you said, man, these are some things that are happening and I need that to change? Because you had so many interesting stories that you shared with us as part of the conference last week.
Yeah, so when I turned 40, there were a few things that were going on in my life that made me just say, like if I don't do this now, I'm never going to be able to do it. So I had always had a vision of me being able to travel with my husband, and we were going to have children, and we were going to all travel together. I remember watching women in West Africa with the baby on their back, and they're out at the markets and doing their thing, and that was going to be me. And I had actually married an African man when I was in Togo. We came back to the States. We were married for a good 8 years, and it didn't last. It's fine. Um, and then I got into another long-term relationship. We had plans to travel too. That didn't work out. And so by the time I hit 40 years old, I was just like, Halona, what are you doing? Like, you keep waiting on this ideal to be able to happen and trying to pull people into this vision of a life that, maybe they just didn't have, they didn't have the same vision or goal as I did, really, if I, just to be honest with myself. So it was just time for me to do it. And at the time, now that I've been overseas for 2.5 years alone, I've had some time to reflect on my life. And so at the time, before I left, I was really, really sick. I had like adrenal fatigue. I had issues with fibroids. My thyroid was all messed up. It was just a host of other. I had, a lot of weight on me that I really needed to get rid of. And I realized it was because I was not living the life that I was supposed to live. I was not living my purpose. And so once I got honest with myself about all of that, um, I had always really been into health and wellness anyway, but it never really seemed to work out. Like the way I couldn't get the weight off, I couldn't get my energy up. None of it was working until I got to Thailand and I got with all these other herbalists and a few other people who were helping me out, and really started to work with myself energetically. Um, um, and that like I wound up losing 100 pounds. My thyroid works perfectly. My liver is in great health. Like my life is so good right now. My life is really good, and it's because I've gotten myself into the life that I've always was supposed to have, and I couldn't be happier about it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I want you all to think about and visualize the person you wish to become, the places you wish to go, and know that you shouldn't let situations or other people stop you. These sisters right here made it very clear that they knew what their next season was going to be and they were going to make it happen. I love yesterday, you said, not yesterday, 2 days ago, you said, hello, you didn't speak a lick of the language, but you didn't make that stop you when it came to moving there. And of course, Lisa Marie, you just kind of said the same thing today as well when you were in the Dominican Republic and all Colombia, all these different places. Did you have any feelings of fear or anxiety around things stopping you or people saying anything, any fears or regrets or, those things that we as humans have when we think about the scary parts of going into the unknown? I'm going to let you talk about that, Lisa Marie, and then Halona, you can follow up as well.
Thank you. I love this idea. I came up with this the other day, and I thought, how people say, "Yeah, I'm afraid." And I'll say, "Well, what are you afraid of?" Being a coach, and they'll say, "I'm afraid of the unknown." Wait, I'm not afraid of what I don't know. See, that motivates me to go. I'm more afraid of what I do know. It's almost like I'm not going to take that plane when that same airline crashed because I know that, or I'm not going to put my hand in that fire because I know I'm going to get burned. See, I tend not to do things that I know. The things I don't know, see, that's where ignorance is bliss. That's where the fear actually goes away because I don't know what to be afraid of. Yes, I have no expectation. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. So the fear of the unknown has probably, when I start thinking about it, has never been something that stopped me. It has been more of those things that somebody will say, "Well, you've done that before. You know what happened. You've tried that before," and this. Those are those things that make me probably feel a little more apprehensive. But the stuff I don't know, oh, we going. We're going to see. We're going to find out. I want to know for myself. I'll report back. I'll let you know. I'm going. So the fear of staying, I think, or the fear of going in general, in my mind, I say keep an extra credit card. This is how I did it when I first went to the DR. Because think about it, when I went to the DR, I signed up for a program from a sister that I saw on YouTube. I mean, it's just that simple. I gave this woman my money, and she told me some other woman who spoke no English was going to be picking me up at the airport. Okay, so I'm going to go, and let me just say, when I first got on the plane, I'm cool. But I started getting nervous when we got a little closer to the DR because it hit me that I'm going to a country again where I do not learn the language. So what do? I had an extra, the nice, clean credit card with money on it that I never used. So in my mind, take care of those things that you are fearful of. In other words, what's the worst that can happen? I get off and nobody's there. Well, I know how to turn back around. I got a credit card and cash in the bank, a debit card, so I can get back on the plane and go home. that was I kind of took care of those fearful moments because usually you break down what you're fearing. Most likely there's solutions to it. There's ways to make yourself feel comfortable so you can take the leap and go. So once I knew that I could go back home right now, like I mean, I can go in that airport and somehow I know I can get a ticket back to the States. I wasn't worried. And so what that was my worst fear. Well, now I'm going forward. And when I got there, the woman did meet me. She didn't speak English. We worked it out. It was the best trip ever. When I went back the second time, I stayed with her again. We became best friends. In the long run, we were so alike. She was spiritual, into crystals. And so a lot of times, too, who you are is already out there. And the people that you need is already waiting. Sometimes that dream that you wanted for so long, that desire that you've been asking for so long, the universe heard you. The divine, the most high God, goddess, whatever you call it, heard you, and it's waiting. It's not where you are, it's where you're not. So that's what I've learned over the years. So when I got there, it was not me that actually I thought of the DR. I thought of the Spanish, which I actually didn't. It was like this spur of the moment thing, but it was something bigger calling me, and I knew I had to do it. So once I got over going once, I will tell you it to me, and I don't know if everybody else has an experience. Alona, you might be able to answer that as well. For me, once I did it once, oh, doing it again and again was a piece of cake. Now it was over. I did the hardest part. I can't speak the language, and I ain't never been to this country. And I gave some people my money. I don't really know. See, that was it. After that, I was like, hey, I'm ready for the next 5 countries now. So yeah. Once you do it once, you can do it again and again. And I'm telling you, every single place that I've been, there have been people, you can call them family, if you will, that have been there for me waiting. And I'm like, oh my God, we got to tell everybody, take that first step, and the rest will be led. I promise they will. So that's how I did it.
Yeah. So, as far as fear is concerned, I think I've always been the one in my family who sort of pushed the envelope as far as what people in my family do. I remember when I left to go to the Peace Corps, it was a big, like, nobody leaves to do anything in my family. Like, that's just not a thing for anybody to do. Like, why would you pick up from your comfortable life in America that people have sacrificed for to go all the way back to Africa to do to go live in a village with people with chickens and no electricity and running water? Like, why would you do that? Um, you know, so the fact that I'm like moving to Rwanda right now in the middle of a pandemic, people are still kind of confused about about why I would do that or how I can make that work. But I'm not afraid of it. Especially now that I've been overseas for 2.5 years on my own. I didn't talk about it a whole lot during our last interview. But while I was in Thailand, I did a 6-month detox process. And I had my fibroids were really bad, and I had done such a wonderful job of doing a detox that my fibroids like started to dislodge on their own, which was a very harrowing process. And I wound up in the hospital, almost died, almost bled to death. And so that was a very, very hard period for me, to be able, to be sitting in a hospital in Thailand with no, support system really, but yourself and your own prayers, to be able to sit with and to just feel like you have to be able to survive to be able to get yourself through this, because there was something on the other side for me to be able to do. And so I have no fear of anything now. I like when I tell you, I don't have any fear of death. I don't have any fear of, going somewhere and getting snatched. you know, all of these stories that people make up. And it's not that those things aren't true. I'm not telling you to go out and, make silly decisions. I'm just saying that there are ways for you to prepare yourself to be able to go overseas, to be able to connect to people before you go to a place, to be able to find some sort of a community, to be, to know something about the place that you're going to before, before you just show up. So, and now I feel like the world is such a smaller place because of the experiences that I've been through. Like I literally feel like, I can just, pick a place on the planet and, just go there and I'll be great. I'll figure it out. I'm not saying that it'll be 100% perfect. Problems always do arise, but I feel confident in my ability to be able to figure everything out. I can figure it out in some way, shape, or form. So I don't really have a whole lot of fear, at least not in the way that probably I used to. But even my family would tell you different. They were like, she's always been fearless.
I love it. Oh my goodness. I could sit and talk to you guys all day. Now, I'm going to say two things. A love story. So I'm sure you guys are enjoying these stories. Share this out, share. Make sure that you get into the Back to Business virtual experience. We had such a great time this weekend. I'm going to share a little story with you guys. I don't even know if they remember this, but many years ago, every year I have my virtual events, Back to Business, but then I have offline small intimate workshops here in North Carolina. Many years ago, Halona and Lisa Marie were at the same workshop. Number one. Number two, they actually were sitting together. I remember when Lisa Marie came from New York. Lisa Marie came from New York. She said, "LaShawn, North Carolina is beautiful." And then 2 seconds later, she bought a house. I love how we move. Number one, right? When you back to business, we see things, we want things, and we move on, right? Start now. Start to position yourself to see what you want. Number two, when I think about the fact that these two women who I don't think they knew each other at the time came out to my event, lived different lives, different locations. Now, all of a sudden, just energetically, right? Lisa Marie is traveling, Halona's traveling, and now we're together doing this virtual. I feel there's a beauty, right? There's a beauty in divine right timing. And there's a beauty in living your life and how things just kind of come to pass and how our paths, the different things that we do individually, they overlap. So I encourage you guys to work on just kind of putting yourselves in situations where if you want something, go out and get it. Number one. And number two, energetically know that the things that you want, they want you to. They're trying to seek you out. So hopefully you got some of that because somebody said the audio was bad. I don't know, sometimes y'all, I get on here with groups and the audio gets jacked up. But I hope you can hear some of this. I hope some of it can sink in. What I want to do now is just ask you guys 2 questions. Can you describe what it's like living in these places in Ghana, in Thailand, in Vietnam? What it's been like for you? Number one. And we think about having beautiful international experiences as being really expensive. So kind of describe some of this is what it's felt like to travel. This is what I've seen. And is it really as expensive as people think? How do you make that work?
Okay, so that's
Lisa
me.
Marie.
So I didn't hear everything, but I think I got what you said. So I think I have your question. So I'll answer it as best I can. So what is my experience? Has it been? What has my experience been in Ghana, West Africa? It has been, first of all, oddly familiar. So it does not feel as much like a different culture as much as people might think. So that's something that I want to like kind of burst at. I feel even though most people, well, first of all, most people speak 3 or 4 languages. Some speak even more than that. So let's be clear. The different ethnic groups, although they're all black, they all have different. We say tribes, but they all have different languages, and most people speak 3 or 4 or 5. So that was impressive already. But some will say, and some will argue, that the most common language is the tree. And I feel like when I hear it, I've heard it before. So it doesn't feel as foreign to me as I think. And I'm learning it as well, but it doesn't feel as foreign. And culturally, as much as we think the culture is so different, it's very similar. We may change a word or change maybe the environment around that topic will change, or but basically it's the same kind of things that we don't do. So I'll give you an example just for culture today with something. So there were two men talking. One, they were facing each other, and one was leaning on the pole. The other one was just a few feet in front of him. So my friend, who is a Ghanaian, walks in between them. But I didn't do that. I walked around them. They were talking. They were, yes, there was distance enough to walk in between them. So I said to my friend, Kwame, I said, Kwame, in my culture, we don't do that. We don't walk in between two people while they're talking. We go around. Just so you know, so if he ever comes, I educate too. Just in case you come to my culture or my family, I don't want you looking stupid. Because I would, and I say it because they constantly like to tell you in their culture. So he said, "Oh yeah, all the time." So I make sure they know we have one too. So then he says, "You know what? In my culture, it's not. It's rude too." Okay, well, why did you do it? Like, why did you do that? And then he said, they shouldn't be standing there. I was like, anyway, like I told you, don't do it when if you come visit me or my family or whatever. Just don't do that. And so you'll find that what I find it is our culture as African Americans to me is actually I know what that we have one from coming to Ghana. I can specify things that we do that they actually do too. And what's so enlightening about it is that it really lets you know the connection to the motherland. Like we the same people. We the same people. That thing don't fly right here and it don't fly right there either. And so that whole idea that we don't have a culture is ridiculous. And it's not it's a lie. And so that to me is something that I, really like thought was like, wow, this is so cool. And I was before that tracing the African presence in all those countries that I went to, but in actuality, I was just looking for Africa. So that was nice. So my experience has been great. So I'll give you another reason. I mean, look at me. I'm a dark skinned woman in West Africa. I'm in, y'all. I'm in. Like, I'm in. Like, what I got to do? I ain't got to do nothing. I'm in. I mean, that part right there. Like, let's just talk about that. Like, I don't have to do nothing. I'm in. I'm automatically in. I just got to mess up and, not speak the language too much or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in. And that's a big thing, I think, for a dark skinned woman. But then when you look at
I heard her say a big thing for a dark skinned woman, and then she froze. Oh my goodness. I hope we can get her back. I hope we can get her back. I'm going to unmute you, Halona, just so that we can keep on going and we'll see what happens with Lisa Marie as far as just sharing your experiences.
Like just in general, my experience was that I didn't hear the original
Just
question.
anything that you wanted to share about in general, in your experiences, anything that comes to mind as
Hmm.
far as what you've seen or how you felt living abroad.
Yeah, one of the things that I think has been most that has made the biggest impression on me, being in Southeast Asia in particular, um, and comparing it to my experiences of living in West Africa as well. Um, I'm amazed at how unnatural of a world we live in the United States. Um, to be in other countries where people are very much connected to their culture, to the reverence of their ancestors, to cycles of nature. Um, like for example, in Vietnam, you'll find altars all over the place. Altars um, that are created for reverence of their own ancestors. They have ceremonies for the full moon, and they have rituals where there's certain days where everyone gets together to clean the house, to get ready for the new moon, and all sorts of things like that. And it's very, very similar to many of the African ethnicities and tribes that I live with in different places in Africa. And it just in coming to Asia, I've had time to really sit down and think about how unnatural our life is in the United States is. and how if I had to go back to the States, it would be difficult for me, because we're all always learning, in a learning process. But I kind of like living with people who know who they are. They are very clear on what their culture is. They have their own language, and that teaches me to to find those things within myself. Even if that particular culture doesn't belong to me, I do understand that, yes, there's a specific culture that we have as African Americans in the States, but that culture is also derived from the continent of Africa as well, and it will um, it'll be a good thing for me to be able to learn more about what that is, to find out how I can be more spiritually centered in my own life, so that I can take that throughout the rest of my life.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. I see you unmuted. I'm sorry, I got cut off. Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm in Accra, by the way, so that's the best Wi-Fi you probably gonna get. But I'm excited. But Halona, I just wanted to say, like, I feel you. Everything you said about culture
Mm-hmm.
and people having that, and yes, it is a different experience. You're right, coming to the continent, our
Mm-hmm.
motherland, because you know that now you're not looking at the culture of a people as somebody else's culture. You know
Right.
it's yours. And guess what? They know it's yours too. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I love that part that they know you're home. That they're saying, Aquaba, welcome home. They don't have a thing. It doesn't, and here really the light, the brown, the dark, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They know black is black. And I don't know if people don't realize that, but they know. They know our story, they know their story because it's attached. It's one story. I mean, that's the deep part. It's one story. Their ancestors were taken. Our ancestors was taken. It's the same ancestors. It's connected. So I do. I love that part, and I
Mm-hmm.
love the growth. Yeah, I've learned to be. I've learned a lot. I learned to slow down a lot. That's a big part, especially for a person like I'm a black business woman. So Lashonda, you relate. Hello, you relate. I'm a black business woman. I hit this art center like, what we doing? Y'all sitting around? We got shit to do. Like, come on now, hurry up. Like I told you, I was coming. Why do y'all have everything ready? Like I have to. They first be like, Walter Sand, how are you? Like I always have to. I be like, oh yeah, how you doing? How are you? How's the children? Did you eat? Oh, I gotta go through all of the greetings. Did you eat?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you
Did
say
you
that
eat?
because
Did you go?
being a New Yorker,
Oh,
New Yorkers are hustle bustle, hustle
yes.
bustle. When I moved to the South, they
All
were
the
like,
way.
"Baby, I need you to
Born and
slow
raised.
down, relax,
Right?
relax." So
Yeah.
that's
Right.
something that's universal, right? Going into different locations with different ways of
Oh,
doing things, going from the north to the south, even
yes.
in the United States. Now, I know you
That's
guys
true.
got a lot to do, so I don't want to have you on here forever, ever. But what I do want to do is ask you two more questions. If you can share a little bit about financially, is it overly expensive to live outside of the States? Do you feel like it's really expensive or not? And then last but not least, to talk a little bit about you being a Black businesswoman, being an entrepreneur, working internationally. So those are the last things two things we're going to touch on today.
Is it me? I'm Halona,
Yeah,
if
go
you don't
ahead.
mind, I'm gonna go because I
Go
know
ahead.
my Wi-Fi is about to run out. So thank you so much. So first question: doing business as a black woman, African woman, a foreigner, if you will, in another country, it is no problem. They go where the money is, and I love it. I feel very respected. I feel very honored. They don't have a problem that it's the woman that has the money, that's buying the goods, that's selling the goods, that's trading the goods. They point whoever's the one that got it, that's the one they talk to. So I love that. It's not unusual because, like I said, the market women are they rule here. Market women are the most entrepreneurial women that I've ever met in my entire life. So it's part of the culture to have the woman make her own money. It is much more normal, I think, than even in the States. So that part of it. Now, is it expensive? No, not to me. I mean, let's think about the dollar here is 5.75. So $1 is 5.75 CDs. So let's say just if you spend $100 US, you will be spending about 600 CDs. and things are pretty less. I'll give you an example. My rent for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, pretty big apartment is $200 in a great absolute neighborhood, and that's just $200. Yeah, I was paying 1,100. So Uber is about $2 or $3, and you going further than I've ever gone in the states. So I would say it's a lot less expensive. But one thing I will share, and then I'm out, is don't think dollars after when you live abroad, because you're not spending dollars anymore. You're spending CDs. And why I say that is you will say, oh, that's only 10 US dollars when you're spending a dollar or a CD. Or you'll say that's only 100 US dollars, but you're spending 500 CDs. And in the end, when you look in your pocket, 500 CDs is gone, not 100 US dollars. So you have to shift, and you will. So now you start valuing that 500 CDs. It's not $100, it's 500 CDs, and some's going to cost 200 CDs, and you ain't going to have three. So that was the biggest shift, was stop thinking like a American and dollars and think in the CDs. But I love it. My rent, most places here you rent for a year to 2 years. So you pay your rent for the entire year. That's a wonderful feeling. Oh yeah, so you don't really have no bills now, which could get you in trouble too. But yes, so the cost of living is a lot less, and if you do your money right, it'll be a wonderful thing. And I also too, when you come to other countries, a lot of times you get great ideas about how to do other business. So I added a boutique because now I'm able to buy and sell goods to Americans, authentic African beautiful wares, and I'm designing and doing all these things. So you automatically, you just, I don't know, Africa, they know how to make something out of nothing. And I wouldn't be surprised Halona would have, she's going to have another gig as well. It's so easy to do here in a lot of ways, particularly for, as we said, the entrepreneur, the black businesswoman. That hustle will come in and it will kick in easily because they already doing it. So I hope that
Thank
helps.
you.
So I love
Oh my
you.
goodness.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lashonda, Halana. I'm so glad you're on the continent. I'm coming to Rwanda. I'm gonna come see you when all this
Yes.
nonsense is over. And there's a place for you, Lashonda, your husband, and your son when you come visit Ghana, because I know you're interested.
Oh, listen, let me tell you something. He already said to me, number one, there's not enough good black men. So he needs to go and get 5 wives in Ghana. So I need to be
Go
one of
ahead.
the
You know
set.
what I'm
So he
saying?
already
I
ready.
love it. Wherever you are, let me know. I'm gonna go off the air. I'm mailing out some packages, but I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. I love Lashonda. I heard Lashonda speaking about we all sat in the same room at the Back to Business in North Carolina, and to see us three, me, Halona, and Lashonda, in three different places doing what we do, still standing, still doing. Ain't nothing stopped. It's a beautiful thing to see. So I love you both, and I thank you so much. Blessings to you both. And I'll talk to you, Alana, because I want to see you on the continent. Peace and blessings,
Yes.
ladies. Bye bye.
Bye.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So yes, same question.
Okay.
What do you think about how to, is it expensive to manage things
Mhm.
financially, and how you've been able to navigate as a woman, as a business owner?
Well, I'll be specific about Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, as a black businesswoman, um, it's very very easy because I work online. I don't really have to work. It's not like I'm really working with local people.
Mm,
So it's very easy to do everything online here because number one, the internet is so great. The internet infrastructure in most of the countries here in Southeast Asia is really good. And then everything comes included, in the places that you stay at. So you can go, whether you're choosing to stay in, a backpacker hostel, or, you're staying in a villa, for $500 a month on the beach, like literally $500 a month on the beach.
for the whole month. For the month.
Yeah, for the month on the beach. It's certain, like, you can find those things in many of the countries here. Um, I just left today, but in the city that I was living in Da Nang, it's a beach town. And so I had, a nice large studio with, a balcony with a beautiful view of mountains and rivers. The beach was probably a 5 minute motorbike ride away. I had a woman who would come once a week to clean up my apartment for me. I did no cleaning. Food is super cheap. My apartment was $350 per month, 350 US dollars per month.
Wow.
And you can do cheaper if you wanted to. But if you wanted to do, fancy, would be like five, maybe $600 a month.
I
You
remember you
know,
saying something to the effect of you were good like with $1,000 for the month, like
Mhm.
1,500 was if you were balling. You just
Yeah, that's you are really balling with $1,500 a month. Like you can go surfing. You might have somebody come in and bring you food. Make food for you, and it's really not expensive to live in a lot of countries around the world. I think people will be surprised. But people are so used to budgeting and to the way that they do in the States that they want to repeat the life that they had in the States. And so that, they want to pack everything and they want to ship the car, they want to ship all their furniture. And it's like, they got furniture in the country that you're going to. Yeah, like, I don't even know why y'all doing all this. And like you may not even need a car in the country that you're going to, just because it's just not, it may not even be necessary. You can hire a driver in certain places, depending on what you're doing. You can get yourself a motorbike. If you have a family, you can hire a driver with a car to come and get you and take you to wherever you want. And it might cost you maybe a couple $100 a month. It's really not expensive to live in Southeast Asia in particular.
yeah.
But I think that in most countries across the world, you can figure out a way to be able to get around on your budget.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
It's been a great experience being able to communicate with you all today. Audio issues aside, I love the fact that you are, I can't say it enough, you're living the life that you want to live on your terms. And being
Mhm.
here, hopefully, you have encouraged other people, other women to be able to step out, start now, and do the same. So I appreciate you. As always, I have nothing but love. Just let them know where you're going to go next, because y'all just going to be just dripping and crushing this with this one right here. Let them know where you're going next, and we'll wrap up today.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm leaving for Dubai. I'm going there for about 4 or 5 days just to sort of, kick it around. I
Kicking
went
it in
there
Dubai.
first.
She's saying it
Yeah.
like it's nothing. Just kicking it in Dubai. Good.
Yeah, just gonna go play for a little bit. So I got an appointment to go on the beach as well as do like a little camel ride in the sand, just a couple things.
Look,
And then from
being
there,
a
I'm
camel,
going to
just chilling.
Rwanda.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So after
And then after
Dubai,
that, I'm moving to Rwanda, to Kigali in East Africa. And I'm super excited about that. Lisa Marie was talking about a side gig. I already got ideas for side gigs. Like I have like plans in my head for like writing retreats that I want to do. Like we're gonna do retreats up in the mountains to go see gorillas and to see all the lakes and the volcanoes. Like it's already in my head.
come on now. Mind blown. I love it. Such a beautiful thing. And I need to be like, I'm there. I'm there.
Mhm,
No, I'll be there. I'll be there.
mhm.
Like I said, it's a beautiful thing to see you living in your vision. We ain't even get to talk about y'all when she was on set. She met Spike Lee. Didn't even know you were on set, right? For the what was the
Yeah.
movie?
The Five Bloods. Yeah, so I was an extra in the movie. That was so
When
fun. Such a fun
when he
day.
was
Yeah.
filming, and where was he?
In Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Come on now. I told you, I said I went to Brooklyn Tech. Spike Lee's joint was around the corner. In Brooklyn Tech for 4 years, never saw that man. I had to go to Southeast Asia. That's what I needed to do. I need to hang out
Mhm.
with so I can meet me Spike Lee. But you know,
Hmm.
it's a beautiful thing. Everything happens in divine right timing. I encourage you all to do what you need to do to start now. Think about what you want your next season to be. Hopefully, again, audio difficulties. You heard something that hit home. We had a great interview with Halana as part of Back to Business. Make sure you go to backtobusiness.me to listen to the replays. And I'm going to continue all week to bring on some amazing speakers so that we can continue to motivate you to get back to business and to start now too. So once again, thank you so much, Halana, for taking some time out of your busy day. You packing. I know you got a lot to do. Mwah. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Lashonda. Mwah.
Bye, my dear. All right, y'all.
Bye
That's it.
bye.
That's a wrap. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, turn on alerts and notifications so you can see when I'm live, so you can jump on here live with me. Take care.